Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a topic I think a lot of people dream about at some point or another. Starting their own business.
It's a popular one for sure.
Yeah, and we're lucky enough to have this really awesome guide that a listener sent in called How to Start and Manage a Small Business, a comprehensive guide. It's a mouthful.
It is, but it's packed with great information.
It is, yeah. So we're going to try to break it down for you, pull out the most important insights and hopefully give you a roadmap whether you are actually thinking about launching a business or just, maybe you're just curious about the process.
I think we can definitely do that.
Awesome. So let's start at the beginning.
Sounds good to me.
The very beginning, the guide calls this finding your spark, which I love that phrase. It's all about, coming up with that great business idea, but I'm guessing there's more to it than just, having a light bulb moment.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just about a sudden flash of inspiration, although those can be helpful, of course. The guide really stresses the importance of passion. You've got to be excited about the idea, to fuel all those long hours and the inevitable challenges that come with starting a business.
Right, so you've got to love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it also emphasizes that you need to solve a problem or meet a real need in the market,
Passion meets practicality.
Exactly. If there's no demand for what you're offering, that passion might fizzle out pretty quickly.
That makes sense. I see that. And then the guide also talks about finding a niche. How does that fit into the equation?
So think of it this way. You might be incredibly passionate about, let's say, baking.
Okay. I love baking.
But opening just another bakery might not be the best strategy. What if you combine that love of baking with, let's say, the growing demand for vegan desserts?
Oh, interesting.
Suddenly you're not competing with every bakery in town. You're targeting a specific group of customers with, very specific needs and limited options. That's your niche, that unique space you carved out in the market.
So it's about focusing your passion and your expertise to stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where your passion, your skills, and the market's needs all intersect.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got the spark, we've found our niche, but now I'm guessing we need some structure to actually get this business off the ground.
You're spot on, and that's where a solid business plan comes in.
Ah, yes, the dreaded business plan.
Your guide actually spends quite a bit of time emphasizing the importance of this.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people think business plans are just for attracting investors, but that's not the whole story, is it?
Right. In my experience, sometimes just the act of writing things down can bring so much clarity.
Absolutely.
So it's almost like a roadmap for yourself,
Yeah.
Not just for potential investors.
I like that, a roadmap for yourself.
Yeah. So what are some of the key components the guide highlights?
Well, it dives into the classic structure of a business plan, starting with the executive summary.
Okay.
This is where you lay out the essence of your business idea. Think of it as your elevator pitch in written form.
Got it.
Then there's the market analysis.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you demonstrate that you really understand your industry, your target customers. You analyze your competition, understand market trends. It's all about showcasing that you've done your homework.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, no business plan is complete without financial projections, your expected revenues, expenses, and hopefully profits.
Okay. So it's a pretty comprehensive document.
It is. But going through that process can be so valuable. It forces you to think through every angle of your business.
Huh.
And it could be a reality check too, right? Making sure your idea is actually viable.
I like that. So it's a planning tool as much as it is a presentation tool.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got our plan in place. But let's be honest. The next step tends to make people's eyes glaze over. The legal stuff.
I know what you mean.
Registering your business, choosing a legal structure. Does it have to be that painful? What does our guide say about navigating this part?
You're right. It's not the most glamorous part of starting a business, but the guide is very clear about this. Getting this foundation right is crucial. There are a few options to choose from, right? You've got the sole proprietorship, which is the simplest, but it leaves you personally liable for all the business debts.
Oh, okay, so that's risky.
It can be. Then there's the partnership, where you share the business and the liability with one or more partners.
Okay.
If you're looking for more protection from liability, there's LLCs and corporations, but those come with more complexity.
So it's a trade-off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Simplicity versus liability protection.
I'm guessing the guide recommends consulting with a legal professional?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Getting expert advice is essential here. You want to make sure you choose the structure that's right for your specific situation.
Makes sense. And what about all those other legal must-dos? Like I've heard of this thing called an EIN. What is that all about?
Yeah. So your EIN, that's your employer identification number from the IRS. You'll need that for tax purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there are all the licenses and permits you might need depending on your industry and location.
Okay, so it's important to dot your I's and cross your T's, even though it's not the most exciting part.
It is. You want to make sure you're operating legally right from the start.
For sure. But let's move on to something that's a little more exciting and a little more nerve-wracking: funding. Where does the money come from to make this dream a reality?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. So I imagine our guide has some wisdom to share on this front.
It does. And it actually offers a surprisingly diverse range of financing options.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So let's start with the basics. Self-funding, using your own savings or assets, that's the most straightforward, but obviously carries the most personal risk.
Right, if things go south.
Exactly. Then there are traditional small business loans from banks or the Small Business Administration. These can be a good option, but they come with interest rates and repayment terms you need to factor in.
Okay, so those are the more traditional routes. I'm curious about what the guide says about the less conventional ways to secure funding.
That's where things get really interesting. So the guide explores seeking investors. Could be venture capitalists or angel investors who are willing to provide capital in exchange for equity in your business.
Okay, so you're giving up a piece of the pie.
You are, but you're gaining access to expertise and resources that could help you grow much faster.
Makes sense. What about crowdfunding?
Yes. Crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. These allow you to pitch your idea to a wider audience and have people contribute smaller amounts to support your venture.
I love that approach. It's almost like pre-selling your product or service, right? And building a community around your business from the start.
It is. And it could be a great way to validate your idea, too. If people are willing to put their money behind it, that's a pretty strong signal that you're onto something.
So many possibilities.
There are. It's about finding the right funding option that aligns with your business model and your risk tolerance.
Okay, so we've got our funding secured. Now we need to make sure people actually know about our amazing business. Let's talk branding.
It's showtime.
Yeah. And I feel like having a strong brand identity is more important than ever in today's, super crowded marketplace.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about having a catchy name and a cool logo anymore.
Yeah.
Your brand, the feeling you evoke, the story you tell, it's about creating a connection with your customers.
Right. It's that emotional connection.
Exactly.
So the guide talks about crafting a powerful brand identity. I'm curious to dive a little deeper into what that means.
Well, you mentioned the logo, which is definitely important,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also about consistent messaging that reflects your values and a clear brand voice that speaks directly to your target audience.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how you want people to perceive your brand and make sure all your communications, from your website to your social media posts, everything is aligned with that vision.
Okay, so it's about creating a cohesive experience.
Exactly. And of course, having a strong online presence is a non-negotiable these days.
Right. Your website is basically your digital storefront.
Exactly. The guide calls it prime real estate in the digital world.
I like that. So what are some of the key considerations for creating a website that actually converts, visitors into customers?
Well, it needs to be visually appealing first and foremost. People have short attention spans these days, so you need to grab their attention quickly.
Right.
It also needs to be easy to navigate. No one wants to get lost in a maze of confusing menus and links.
Yeah, user friendliness is key.
Absolutely. And then, of course, it needs to showcase your products or services in a compelling way. High-quality photos, engaging descriptions. You want to make it easy for people to understand what you offer and why they should choose you.
So it's all about creating that positive first impression and building trust with your audience.
Exactly. Your website is often the first point of contact people have with your brand, so you want to make it count.
It's like your digital handshake.
I like that.
Okay, so we've got the idea, the plan, the legal structure, the funding, and now the brand identity. But how do we actually make this business run smoothly? What about all those day-to-day operations, the nuts and bolts that keep everything moving?
That's where we shift our focus to the engine room of your business.
Okay.
Setting up efficient operations. And that's a topic for the next part of our deep dive.
All right, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get into the nitty-gritty. Stay tuned, folks.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Ready to get into the nitty-gritty of actually running a business?
I am. We've talked about, the big picture stuff, the ideas, the planning, the branding. But now let's roll up our sleeves and talk about operations. It's like we've built the car, but now we need to make sure the engine runs smoothly.
That's a great way to put it.
So what does our listener's guide say about setting up efficient operations?
Well, it jumps right in reminding us that, efficient operations are the backbone of any successful business. Whether you're selling handmade crafts online or running a bustling coffee shop, you need systems in place to keep everything moving.
Okay, systems, got it. And I guess the first consideration is, your business's home base. Will you be primarily online or will you have a physical storefront?
That's a fundamental question, isn't it? It kind of shapes so many other decisions down the line.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's say our listener is picturing, a vibrant brick and mortar shop. What guidance does the guide offer for choosing the right location?
Location, location, location. The guide stresses that for a physical store, location is everything.
Makes sense.
Think about it. Would you open a high-end boutique in a rundown strip mall?
Probably not.
Probably not. You want to be where your target customers are, in an area with good visibility, accessibility, and the right kind of foot traffic.
And don't underestimate the importance of parking.
Oh my gosh, yes. Parking can make or break a business, especially in busy urban areas.
So true. But let's flip the script and say our listener is leaning towards an online business. What are the key considerations there?
Well, in the digital world, your website is your prime real estate.
It is. So choosing the right e-commerce platform is crucial.
Absolutely. It's like selecting the foundation upon which you'll build your online empire. You'll want to consider user-friendliness, both for you and for your customers, security features, payment processing options, and whether it integrates seamlessly with other tools you might be using, like email marketing or social media management.
So it's like building a digital ecosystem for your business, making sure all the pieces work together.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you've got your online or offline shop set up, I'm guessing the next challenge is managing inventory. And that's where things can get a little hairy.
You're telling me inventory management is one of those things that can quickly spiral out of control.
I can imagine.
Imagine that your latest product goes viral, orders are pouring in, and suddenly you realize you're out of stock.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
It is not a good look.
What advice does the guide offer to prevent those inventory nightmares?
It really emphasizes setting up a system. Whether it's a simple spreadsheet or dedicated inventory management software to track stock levels, set reorder points, and analyze sales trends. You want to stay ahead of the curve? Anticipating demand and making sure you have enough product on hand without tying up too much capital in excess inventory.
It's a balancing act, isn't it?
It is. Finding that sweet spot between meeting demand and managing costs.
Right. But even with the best systems in place, things don't always go perfectly. That's where exceptional customer service comes in to save the day.
Oh, absolutely. Happy customers are your best marketing asset.
They are.
Think about it.
Yeah.
People love to share their positive experiences.
Yeah.
And word-of-mouth marketing is incredibly powerful.
So true. A great customer experience can turn a one-time buyer into, a loyal advocate for your brand.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the key ingredients in creating that positive experience?
Well, first and foremost, responsiveness. In today's fast-paced world, people expect quick replies and helpful solutions. Whether you have a dedicated customer service team or it's just you in the early days, make sure you're addressing inquiries promptly and with a positive attitude.
Speed and a can-do spirit.
Exactly. But it's also about empathy. Put yourself in your customer's shoes. Try to understand their perspective, even if you don't necessarily agree with their complaint.
I think that's so important. Sometimes it's hard, though, right? When you feel like you're in the right.
It can be.
Yeah.
But a little bit of empathy can go a long way in diffusing a tense situation and turning a frustrated customer into a happy one.
Okay, so responsiveness plus empathy equals happy customers. I like it. Now, how do we actually get those customers in the door? Whether it's a virtual door or a physical door, I'm talking about marketing, the art of spreading the word and attracting people to your amazing business.
Time to unleash your inner marketing guru.
I love it. So our listener's guide reminds us that, we're fortunate to live in an age with such a diverse toolkit of marketing strategies.
We are. From social media to email, SEO, to content marketing, and even paid advertising. The possibilities are kind of endless.
I'm getting overwhelmed just thinking about all the options.
I know it can be a lot.
So where do we even begin? Does the guide offer any guidance on creating a marketing strategy?
It does. It stresses the importance of starting with a clear understanding of your target audience. Who are you trying to reach with your message? What are their interests, their pain points, their online habits?
Yeah.
Once you have a clear picture of your ideal customer, you can tailor your marketing efforts to resonate with them.
Okay, so it's like creating a customer avatar. a detailed profile of the person you're trying to connect with.
Exactly. Knowing your target audience inside and out allows you to craft marketing messages that speak directly to their needs and aspirations.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for example, if you're selling organic baby food, you probably wouldn't focus your marketing efforts on teenage boys.
No, probably not.
You'd target parents, especially those who are concerned about health and sustainability.
Right, matching the message to the audience. So once we know who we're talking to, how do we choose the right marketing channels to reach them?
Well, let's start with social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even LinkedIn. These can be incredibly powerful tools for building brand awareness, engaging with your audience, and driving traffic to your website.
I can see how social media would be particularly effective for businesses with, visually appealing products or services like fashion or food or travel.
You're right. But social media can be effective for almost any type of business.
Yeah.
It's all about finding the right platforms where your target audience hangs out and creating content that resonates with them. The guide emphasizes the importance of consistency posting, regularly responding to comments and messages, using a voice that aligns with your brand identity.
So it's not just about posting randomly. It's about creating a strategic social media presence.
Exactly. And don't forget about email marketing. It might seem a bit old school compared to the shiny new world of social media, but it's still one of the most effective ways to nurture relationships with your customers and drive sales.
I have to admit, I've always been a bit skeptical of email marketing. It seems like everyone's inbox is already overflowing with promotional emails.
You're not wrong. People are definitely bombarded with emails these days, which is why it's more important than ever to create emails that are valuable and engaging.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, the guide suggests focusing on personalization, addressing your subscribers by name, segmenting your list based on their interests, and offering exclusive content or discounts.
So it's about making your subscribers feel like they're part of an exclusive club, not just another name on a mailing list.
Precisely. And don't underestimate the power of storytelling in your emails. Share your brand's story, highlight customer testimonials, or even give a behind-the-scenes glimpse into your business. People connect with stories, and that can make your emails stand out from all the noise.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal of email marketing. But let's move on to another marketing acronym that often causes confusion: SEO. What exactly is SEO, and why is it so important?
So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and it's all about making sure your website shows up high in search results when people search for products or services related to your business.
So if someone searches for best vegan cupcakes and they're in our listener city, we want their bakery to be one of the top results.
Exactly. The higher you rank in search results, the more likely people are to click on your website, leading to more traffic, more leads, and hopefully more sales.
Makes sense. So it's all about visibility.
It is. And the guide provides a good overview of SEO basics, explaining how search engines work, the importance of keywords and strategies for optimizing your website content.
It's like speaking the language of search engines, making sure your website is using the right words and phrases to attract the right audience.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing process. Search engines are constantly evolving their algorithms, so you need to stay up to date on the latest best practices to ensure your website remains visible.
So it's not a one-time fix, it's an ongoing commitment.
You got it.
Okay, now let's talk about another powerful marketing strategy: content marketing. The guide refers to this as creating valuable content that attracts and engages your target audience. What exactly does that mean in the real world?
I think a lot of people get confused by this one.
Yeah, me too.
But it's actually pretty straightforward. It's about providing value to your audience, not just constantly selling to them.
Okay, so what kind of content are we talking about?
Could be educational blog posts about your industry, behind-the-scenes videos showcasing your process, or even, fun quizzes or polls on social media. The key is to create content that your target audience will find interesting and engaging.
And hopefully share with their friends.
Exactly.
It's almost like becoming a publisher, creating your own media channels to connect with your audience.
It is. And the beauty of content marketing is that it has a long shelf life. Unlike a social media post that might disappear into the feed after a few hours, a well-written blog post or video can continue to attract traffic and generate leads for months or even years to come.
That's a great point. It's an investment that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's be honest. Sometimes you need a more direct approach to get the word out. What does the guide say about paid advertising?
Paid advertising, whether it's Google ads, social media ads, or even traditional print or radio ads, can be an effective way to reach a wider audience and drive immediate results. But it's important to be strategic.
I've heard horror stories of businesses pouring money into ads that don't deliver any results.
Yeah, it happens. That's why the guide emphasizes the importance of setting clear goals for your ad campaigns, targeting your ads effectively, and carefully tracking your return on investment.
So don't just throw money at ads and hope for the best.
No, you need to be data-driven, making sure your ad spend is actually translating into tangible business results.
Data-driven decision-making. I like that. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in the marketing arena, but at the end of the day, all these efforts are ultimately about driving revenue and building a profitable business. So let's shift gears and talk about the often dreaded topic of finances. I know managing finances can be intimidating, especially for new business owners.
It's true. A lot of entrepreneurs I know feel overwhelmed by the financial side of their business. But the good news is it doesn't have to be complicated.
That's music to my ears.
Right.
So where do we begin? What are the essential steps to keeping our financial ship sailing smoothly?
Your guide recommends starting with a good accounting software. Programs like QuickBooks or Xero can be lifesavers when it comes to tracking income and expenses, generating invoices, and reconciling bank statements.
Okay, so it's about having a clear picture of your financial health, knowing where the money's coming from and where it's going.
Exactly. And once you have that clear picture, you can start creating a budget that helps you manage expenses and stay on track.
I think a lot of people are afraid of the B word.
I know. But a budget isn't about restricting your growth. It's about making informed decisions about where to allocate your resources.
I like that perspective. It's
Yeah.
about being proactive with your finances, not just reacting to whatever comes up.
Exactly. And another key aspect of financial management that the guide highlights is cash flow. Cash flow is the lifeblood of any business. You need to make sure you have enough cash on hand to cover expenses even if you're waiting for invoices to be paid.
So it's about timing, making sure the money's there when you need it.
Precisely. And the guide offers some practical tips for managing cash flow. Things like negotiating favorable payment terms with suppliers, invoicing promptly, setting up a line of credit for emergencies.
Okay, good
Yeah.
tips. And of course, we can't forget about the elephant in the room, taxes.
Ah, yes, taxes.
Yeah.
An inevitable part of doing business.
But they don't have to be a headache, right?
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
The guide emphasizes the importance of staying organized throughout the year, keeping meticulous records, and setting aside money for taxes as you go.
Good advice. It's always better to be prepared.
It is. And it also suggests, consulting with a tax professional, especially as your business grows.
Makes sense. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive, from setting up efficient operations to mastering the art of marketing and managing our finances.
It's a lot to take in, but we've laid a solid foundation for running a successful business.
We have. But the journey doesn't end there. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore how to monitor your progress, adapt to change, and ultimately take your business to the next level. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're in the final stretch of our exploration into the world of small business, and I'm excited to talk about what happens after you actually, get that business up and running.
It's a great point to raise. A lot of times people get so focused on the launch that they forget about the long game,
Right. How do we
We-
keep things moving? How do we keep growing?
Exactly. How do we keep thriving over time?
Mm-hmm.
And, the business world is constantly evolving. What works today might be outdated tomorrow.
Yeah, that's so true. So how do we stay ahead of the curve? I'm curious to hear what our listener's guide has to say about that.
Well, it emphasizes two really key concepts: monitoring your progress and adapting to change.
Okay, I like that. It reminds me of like being a ship captain. You can't just set sail and assume you'll reach your destination without, making adjustments along the way.
Exactly. You have to constantly monitor your course, assess the conditions, and be willing to, change direction if needed.
So how do we translate that to the business world? How do we monitor our course and make sure we're heading in the right direction?
Well, the guide dives into the importance of tracking what are called key performance indicators, or KPIs.
KPIs, I've heard the term before, but I'll be honest, it always sounds a bit intimidating. Can you break it down for us?
Sure. Think of KPIs as your business's vital signs.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you what's working, what's not, and where you might need to, make adjustments.
Okay, so give us an example.
Let's say you run an online store. A key KPI for you might be your website traffic. Are you getting enough visitors? Where are they coming from? What pages are they spending the most time on? These are the kinds of things that KPIs can help you track.
So it's about going beyond just looking at your sales figures and digging a little deeper into the data.
Exactly. Another important KPI for an online business might be your conversion rate, the percentage of website visitors who actually make a purchase.
Okay.
If your conversion rate is low, it could indicate a problem with your website design or your product descriptions or even your pricing strategy.
It's like having a detective's magnifying glass, looking for clues that can help you improve your business.
Exactly. KPIs are all about using data to make informed decisions rather than just relying on gut feelings.
Data-driven decision-making. I love that. But while data can tell us a lot, I'm guessing it's also important to get feedback directly from the source, our customers.
Absolutely. Customer feedback is a goldmine of insights, and the guide really stresses the importance of actively seeking it out.
So how do we do that?
It could be through surveys, online reviews, social media interactions, or even just, casual conversations. Just ask.
I could see how positive feedback would be incredibly motivating, but what about the negative stuff? I know I'd be tempted to just, ignore those critical comments and focus on the good ones.
It's natural to want to shy away from negative feedback, but the guide encourages us to actually see it as an opportunity for growth.
Okay, I can see that.
Sometimes those critical comments can highlight blind spots you might have missed, or areas where you could improve your product or service.
So it's like that saying, feedback is a gift, even when it's not wrapped in, shiny paper.
Right. And sometimes addressing negative feedback publicly can actually build trust with potential customers.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, imagine seeing a business respond thoughtfully and professionally to a negative review. It shows that they care about their customers and that they're committed to providing a positive experience.
It's about turning a potential negative into a positive. Okay, so we're monitoring our progress, adapting to change, actively seeking feedback. But what about growth? How do we take our business to the next level?
That's the question everyone wants to know the answer to.
It is. So what does our guide say?
Well, growth is often the ultimate goal for entrepreneurs, and your guide outlines several strategies for scaling a business. The best approach will really depend on your specific goals, resources, and industry.
Okay, so let's hear it. What are some of those growth strategies?
Well, one option is to expand your product or service offerings.
Okay, so give us an example.
Let's say you run a successful bakery specializing in cupcakes.
Okay, yum.
You could introduce new flavors,
Yeah.
offer custom cake designs, or even start selling baking supplies.
So it's about giving your existing customers more of what they love, but also potentially attracting new customers.
Exactly. Another growth strategy is to expand your geographic reach. This could involve opening new locations, partnering with retailers in different regions, or even launching an online store to sell your products nationwide or even globally.
Wow, taking your business beyond your local market and reaching a wider audience.
It definitely opens up new possibilities.
Right.
But it's also important to recognize that growth often comes with new challenges. As your business expands, you might find yourself feeling overwhelmed, like there are never enough hours in the day.
That's the classic entrepreneurial dilemma, isn't it? Wearing too many hats and feeling stretched thin.
It is, and that's where the guide offers some helpful advice. Outsourcing.
Ah, yes. Outsourcing. So what can we outsource?
As your business grows, you might consider delegating tasks that are not essential to your core business functions. For example, you could hire a bookkeeper to handle your finances, a virtual assistant to manage your schedule and emails, or a marketing agency to help with your social media and advertising campaigns.
Okay, so it's about recognizing your limitations and bringing in experts to help you with the things that you're not so good at or simply don't have time for.
Exactly. It can be a tough decision for entrepreneurs who are, used to doing everything themselves, but it's often a necessary step in scaling a business effectively.
And you know what else can be a game changer for growing businesses? Technology.
Oh, absolutely. Your guide emphasizes the importance of leveraging technology to streamline operations, automate tasks, and improve efficiency. There are so many incredible tools and apps available these days that can help you manage everything from project management and communication to social media marketing and customer relationship management.
It's like having a virtual team of assistants working for you 24/7.
Exactly. And the best part is that many of these tools are incredibly affordable even for small businesses.
That's great. But what about the financial side of growth? I mean, expansion often requires a significant investment.
You're right. If you need a substantial influx of capital to fuel your growth plans, you might consider seeking additional funding, whether it's through traditional bank loans, venture capital investments, or even another round of crowdfunding.
So we've come full circle, back to funding.
We have. It's an ongoing process.
It is. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the initial spark of an idea to the strategies for scaling a successful business. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And, as we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier. The importance of staying connected to that passion that ignited this whole journey in the first place.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in all the details and forget about the why.
Exactly. Amidst all the challenges and demands of running a business, it's easy to lose sight of that initial spark.
So how do we keep that flame burning bright? What advice does our guide have to offer on staying motivated and inspired?
Well, it reminds us that starting and managing a business is a marathon, not a sprint. There will inevitably be ups and downs, successes and setbacks.
So true. It's a roller coaster ride.
It is, but it's the passion that fuels your resilience, your creativity, and your ability to overcome obstacles.
It's about remembering why you started this journey in the first place.
Exactly. And when you're genuinely passionate about your business, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a fulfilling pursuit.
Yeah.
And that passion is contagious. It inspires your employees, it attracts customers, and it creates this positive ripple effect that extends far beyond your business itself.
I love that. So as we conclude this deep dive into the world of small business, I want to leave our listeners with a sense of, hope and inspiration and empowerment. Starting and managing a successful business is a challenging but incredibly rewarding journey.
I couldn't agree more. It's a journey of continuous learning, adaptation, and most importantly, personal growth. You'll face challenges, you'll make mistakes, but you'll also experience those incredible moments of triumph and fulfillment.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. The entrepreneurial community is full of supportive individuals who are, eager to share their experiences, offer advice, and celebrate your successes.
Absolutely. So go out there, embrace the entrepreneurial spirit, and make those business dreams a reality.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of small business. We hope you've gained some valuable insights, practical tips, and a renewed sense of inspiration. Until next time, keep those entrepreneurial sparks flying.